Accept this affirmation. The biggest wealth transfer in history is going to benefit me, my spouse, our children, and our children's children. There are so many people being forced to go back to work at their senior years right now. If you saw my last video, I know a few people may have been able to relate that in relation to the jobs and their requirements of you and the lack of your personal enjoyment when you're putting your all and everything into these jobs. The one thing that I always tell my family is that these billionaires are going to be fine. So you got to focus on what you need as a family unit, as a family dynamic. And some of those things, the way that you do it is totally up to you. It's totally up to your family. But if you need to make some extra income and you have land, let's talk about some of the ways that you can do that. Things that come to my mind, and we see it all the time in the country because we live in the country. We live out on our 20-acre homestead. So we often get to see you pick signs out in the country. So that's one of the things that if you can't quite figure out, how am I going to get away from corporate America? How am I going to get away from these Fortune 500 and 1,000 and Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies? How am I going to get away from them taking all of my time? Because they do that on purpose. They take all of your time and make sure that you only have a little time left over for yourself. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to take care of what my family needs in order to be able to survive, be able to live well, to be able to live a good quality of life where you're at peace and where you're getting personal enjoyment out of your life? So those you pick signs that you can see all over the place if you step out into the country areas. And let's just talk really quick about what the country is now. Right now, the country is basically like your suburbs, especially in the really big cities. The country is more like just the suburbs. We get to have more country because, we don't have so much mass building and cutting down trees and infrastructure. We get to have a little more of that for the time being, and we love it and we appreciate having that at our disposal. But if you're in the larger cities, some of the country, it basically is like your suburbs. And so if you're the type of person where you're like, oh no, I'm not going to live in the country, I can't leave the city, this is what I need for my life, I'm just used to being in the city, I'm just a city person, then go for it. Live in the city, do whatever you need to do for your personal enjoyment. But for everybody else who understands that if you don't own some land, if you don't buy some land, if you don't have secondary locations to go to, if unrest happens, then you just have to know that with inflation, with the cost of everything rising, if you didn't come from money, you're probably gonna need an extra income. And so start a you pick garden, start a you pick orchard, mini orchard, whatever you need to start in your area so that you can have money coming in any days of the week. You can put your little chain up to say, hey, these are my business hours. Put your signs up to say Saturdays and Sundays only. If you're still working, like myself, I still choose to work my full-time position because that is providing the income that I need to save for retirement. It's providing the income that I need in order to do projects on the homestead if we have projects. There are some things that we want to do, like right now, my husband is getting ready to build the first deck onto our home. And so if you want to do gardening, if you want to do raised beds and you're not planting from seed, if you're doing starts, like there are so many reasons. And not to mention that if you still have a mortgage, you want to definitely be able to pay your mortgage. The taxes are forever. They're going to keep on coming and keep coming. You want to just really be smart about how you utilize the funds that you do have coming in, but you also want to make sure that you have those side hustles. Like, side hustles have saved many of my family members. They've saved me. They've saved many of my family members through the hard times. Like, no matter what was happening, if you have a side hustle, you have something to sell to people or some service to provide to people, then you're always going to be able to provide for your family. So definitely consider the you pick type of vibe. So that can be anything from, if you have apple trees, if you have peach trees, if you have orange trees, lemon trees, avocados, mangoes, just depending on your area, whatever you have, go ahead and make those things available, especially if you're growing in abundance. Go ahead and make those things available for other people, because those other people want the fresh stuff. They want the stuff that's actually going to be beneficial for good health. And as we know, our health is our wealth. So if you're not growing a garden, go ahead and get started on that. If you're looking at the prices, the way that things are inflated anyway during this time period, and now in 2025, like, things are going through the roof. The prices of everything is just going through the roof. So if you can provide some of those good things, some of those wholesome and healthy things to people, then definitely grow enough, produce enough so that you can actually make an income off of those things. So I know a lot of people always say, hey, I don't have the money to do that. I don't have the money to do this. I don't have the money to do that. And we've talked in the past about ways that you can save up income, like stop some of the luxury spending that we do, because a lot of times we'll say that we can't do the things that are bigger goals just because we can't see. You got to have vision. We didn't get to a 20-acre homestead without first buying a half acre. So even if you see a quarter acre that's for sale, buy that land, couple of $1,000s, few $1,000s, whatever, depending on your area. Sit on that land in order to save up for your larger goals. That is what we do. Is if we have big long-term goals, we'll do small investments that add up to be able to pay for those big long-term goals. So you got to think outside the box just a little bit. You got to, use a little sense, a little common sense, to say, hey, the Louis belt may not be the thing that I need to be buying right now, because I don't even own a piece of land. So why am I giving Coach all of my money? Why am I giving Balenciaga all of my money? Why am I giving Louis all of my money when I don't even have a place to take my family, or a place for my family to live comfortably? But I'm giving all of these billionaires all of my extra money. You gotta make it make sense. It has to make sense. And this is not me trying to tell you what to do with your money. You can do whatever you want with your money, but also don't come complaining to me that it's too hard to buy land because you can't save money. You can't save that much money. Yes, you can. You have to set your priorities. You gotta put your priorities in order of most important to least important. What other people see of you and what other people think of you is pointless if you don't have the basic necessities in place. So just think on it. Just something to think about. Just if you have those extra sheds sitting around on your property, there are a lot of people who are priced out of the market to be able to start businesses today. So rent those sheds out and set those places up, make office space for people and charge them some money. Just imagine if you were able to rent out your shed for an extra $500 per month. Come on, we got to think outside of the box. There are a lot of older people who need care, who need places to live. They can't afford the $10,000 and $15,000 per month, and Social Security is what it is. The money has been spent and misused. Think about possibly providing a place for older people to stay. There's so many people being forced to go back to work at their senior years right now. There was even a sign in my building that was encouraging hiring older workers. So things have changed a lot out here. And after living so many years in this world, you tend to learn that change is going to happen. And when change happens, you have to be ready to change right along with it. And if you're not, then you're not going to get the results that you really should be getting because you're not willing to be flexible. That doesn't mean that you're willing to accept anything that somebody gives you. That means that you're willing to be at least amicable enough to say that, hey, this is not working out for me. This plan A didn't work out, so I'm going to go to plan B. If plan B doesn't work, then I'm going to be willing to go to plan C. And plan C might be that thing to get you right back full circle to get what you wanted to get in the first place. So you just have to be a little bit flexible, and you have to make sure that whatever goal that you have set, you're willing to do something else in order to get back to that initial goal that you had set for yourself. It's sort of like when we're always talking about buy property, buy property, buy property, buy land, buy land, buy land. Make sure that you're getting into this real estate game. If you don't have the money, then use an alternative. Use the NACA program. Use USDA to get a property. You'll have to get a property that's in, like we said earlier, most likely the suburbs for the bigger cities. It may be country for the smaller cities, but get you a USDA loan. You're still going to have to follow whatever requirements that they want, and it might take you a little time, but it's a way that you can get in with very, very little money down, if any money down. And in the meantime, all you have to do is keep your credit right. Pay your bills. Pay the bills that you do have. Clean up your credit. In the meantime, build whatever you need to build, and then be making money off of your land. So there are so many other things that there's just not enough time in this video to talk about. But think on some of those things and share those things with others. But you have to move forward. You have to put a plan in motion. Write that stuff down. There's something very, very powerful about writing. And when you write that stuff down, you actually start to move toward your goals. You're going to accomplish your goal. And in between all of that stuff that we talked about, all of the hustles and businesses that you can do, start you a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel can be beneficial in more than one way. So don't just look at it as I'm just being a content creator. That's not the only thing that you're going to do. For the majority of people, they don't just start out with YouTube and then just go to the moon. But if you put your effort into it, put your energy into it, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish in a shorter period of time than if you were to go and pay $100,000 for a degree and then just get stuck at wherever somebody wants you to get stuck. All right. If you made it to this point in the video, I thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.